Greetings to all of the Yeshivat Haretzion family. It's great to be sharing a Dvar Torah to you on Parashat Ha'azinu. I wanted to share with you a wonderful conversation we had about a key pasuk regarding Parashat Ha'azinu, that we had a great, wonderful discussion here at TABC. And the discussion was on a very pivotal pasuk describing Parashat Ha'azinu, the Shira, that the pasuk tells us that kiloti shachach pizaro, that this Shira, in fact the entire Torah, as Rashi explains, will not be forgotten by the Jewish people, which is a very, very fascinating idea. And Rashi makes a very, very powerful comment. He says that this is a promise from Hashem, irrevocable promise, that we'll never get a point to shkachu Torah lagamri. We will never get to the point, the Jewish people will never get to a point that we will forget the Torah forever. In other words, Hashem is going to intervene and is going to make sure that there will always be at least some Jews who observe the Torah and that know the Torah, which is there will always be some remnant, which is very, very interesting. Now, if that's the case, here's what the students asked. We were learning about Yoshiyahu Melech, how in his time, how under the terrible influence of Menashe, that Bnei Yisrael en masse, wholesale abandoned the Torah. And Yoshiyahu was the one, we read this about in the end of Sefer Malachim, he led the charge, he brought us back. At least part of us, some of us, he brought back. Where would we be without Yoshiyahu? Without Yoshiyahu, we would have been totally assimilated, we would have been totally lost. So here's the poignant question, here's the big question that the students ask. Did Yoshiyahu have free will? Did he have any free will? Did he have any bechira chavshis? Or did Hashem force himself to be chozer b'tshuva, to find Hashem, and to try to influence everybody else? Was he completely in Hashem's hand? Did he have any of his own influence? That's a very powerful question. Here are two answers the student gave, and then I'll share a third one. One student pointed out that look at what he said it's similar to the Rambam says about the Bris V'nei Masarim. The Bris V'nei Masarim, Hashem says that the Jewish people are going to be suffering in a foreign land. Now, someone was going to harm us. Someone was going to give us a hard time. Hashem didn't say who it was, but someone was going to do it. Each nation, each individual had a choice whether they were going to be a participant. And that's the lesson over here, that we could have, same thing here, that someone had to save us. Someone had to save us from all this avodah zarah. But Yoshiyahu was the one that had the free will, had his own choice. He stepped up and he saved us. Somebody had to do it. He was the one that made the choice to step up and do it. Just like in the opposite direction, somebody had to punish us with the Bris V'nei Masarim, with the enslavement and suffering. But the Egyptians stepped up to do the bad. But here, the Yoshiyahu stepped up to do the good. That's answer number one. Answer number two. And another student suggested this, that Hashem doesn't force people to do teshuva, but or at least some Jews to keep teshuva, a remnant, but he creates a situation which makes it compatible, which makes us inclined to do teshuva. So in the time of Yoshiyahu, what drove so many Jews away from Judaism? It was the pressure of the Assyrians, of Ashur, of controlling us. Right before, in the beginning of Yoshiyahu's reign, Hashem brought an end to the Assyrian Empire with the death of Ashurbanipal, the last great Assyrian emperor. And then Yoshiyahu was able to had the luxury of being able to bring us back to teshuva. He himself coming to teshuva, us coming back to Torah, because we're not under that Assyrian yoke forcing us to deviate. Hashem tilted the field so that Yoshiyahu could possibly do this, could himself do teshuva and lead and influence so many others to do teshuva. I know in our time we had the 6-Day War. 6-Day War was an unbelievable miracle, and I know there are many people. I know my mother became religious as a result. My sister became religious. That was part of our coming back. There were thousands of people who became religious. Not everybody. Did we not have free choice? Of course we had free choice, because most didn't. Most didn't become religious, but some did. Hashem told the events that there will be this righteous remnant in the time of Yoshiyahu and in the 20th century, as well. finally my answer was to invoke a principle that solves many times these problems of free will, and that is Megaglin Chova Yidei Chayav. Hashem brings about good things through good people and bad things through bad people. Yoshiyahu was the good person that Hashem brought the good things through. He chose to be that good person. Did Hashem make him be that person to bring everybody to do teshuva? Yes. But Hashem took this person who chose to be good. He chose to be good. Therefore, Hashem chose him, a good person, to bring about good things. And therefore, he deserves that reward. And very, very interesting, putting all these answers together, either because the individual retained the choice, or that Hashem just tilts the events, or Hashem rewards a person for making the good choice. But very, very interesting postscript to this shiur. It was a very, very wonderful Friday morning shiur here at TABC. I got a little shout out, I think, from Hashem the next day. This is a great story. We had a kiddush in shul, bat mitzvah in our shul at Shaarei Orah, and one of the members of it made a bat mitzvah, and one of the guests that came with a bag from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And what did that bag say on it? The Ashurbanipal exhibit, the last major emperor of the Assyrian Empire. Now we talked about his death when enabled Yoshiyahu. We talked about him yesterday in shiur. I had never seen in my life any handbag, anything mentioning Ashurbanipal. And the next day, I thought it was a little shout out from Hashem that he enjoyed the shiur that we gave. Wishing everybody a wonderful Shabbat, much bracha, and tizkul shanim rabot to our Sephardic listeners and ksivos to our Ashkenazic viewers.